reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always does. Nothing's changed.
Hello there everyone, I'm Crazy Caleb, and as you heard by that sound, today we are taking a look at a fairly simple module, Color Addition. So, what we need to do is, for those of you who aren't familiar with your red, green, and blue primary color and mixtures, and your secondary colors and whatnot, I would highly recommend you get familiar with this because that's really the hardest part of the diffuser side. So what we need to do is we need to break each color up into the red, green, and blue. Each of these three displays will generate a 3-digit number, and we'll look for first the red, then the green, and then the blue. And then we'll add all of these 3-digit numbers up together to create one number, and press them in press the buttons in a specific order. So let's do that. So our first number for red in this case, breaking it apart, red is present, red is present, red is present, red is present, and red is present. Our first number for red is a 5 in this case, as yellow, magenta, and white make up that color. Our second color for red is going to be a 7 right here, yellow and white, 5, 7, and then for red again, that is going to be an 8 because all of these colors do indeed make up, are made up of red. So our first 3-digit number for red is a 5, 7, 8. Now let's do the greens. So the greens make up, for the first one, 2 in this case. Magenta does not contain a green, so that makes sense. Next up we have green here. Green corresponds to a 0 in this case, so 0, and then green is a 9 because red is not made up of green. So that's our green digit, and for blue, this one's actually going to probably be fairly simple. That's going to be a 4 for our first one. It's going to be a 1 because there's no other colors that contain blue, and a 4 as well, 4, 1, 4. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add all of these numbers up. In this case, let's pull out our handy dandy calculator and add them up. So we have 5, 7, and 8 plus 209, 209, and 414, giving us 1,201. So now we get the sum from the 3-digit numbers, the red numbers, blue numbers, and green numbers, and take the 3 least significant digits. So in this case, our actual answer for the module is going to be 201. So now what we're going to do is we're going to assign each digit to a button and press the buttons in order from smallest to biggest even numbers, and then smallest to biggest odd numbers. So let's break these apart. So number 2 corresponds to the first one, 0 corresponds to the second, and 1 corresponds to the third. So now, like it says here, we're going to press the buttons in order from smallest to biggest even numbers. So let's take a look at our even numbers. 0 is smaller than 2, so that's going to be number 1, and you're going to be number 2. And then smallest to biggest odd numbers. So, since there's only one odd number left, we're going to press 2, 1, and then 3.
This was exactly the way, right now.
And just like that is a solved module.
Meant to happen.
Let's take a look at another one. In this case, we have red, green, and blue. So for our red mixtures, that's going to correspond to a 4. 4 is our first number. So just the hard part is being able to understand how to figure out from the color mixtures. I would definitely start to memorize this stuff as it does relate to other modules. Multicolored switches, an old fogey, Simon's sense, just being able to break these colors apart would make the diffuser's lives and the experts' lives a lot easier as well. So now our second one for red is going to be a 3, as we can see here. And our third number is going to be a 5. So now for green, let's take a look. For green, we have a 5, as 5 in this one. For green, we have a 6. And for green, for the third one, we have a 0. For our blues, we have 8, excuse me, 8. We have 8. And then we have a 1. And then we have, finally, a 3. Let's add all these numbers up. 435 plus 560 plus 813 is a 1,808. So like it said before, we will take the 3 least significant digits, in this case 808, like it was right here, and we're going to press them in the order from smallest to biggest even numbers. So smallest number is a 0 in this case. However, we have 2 8s. So what happens if there is a tie? If there is a tie, we will press the buttons from right to left on the module. So we will be pressing a 2, 3, and a 1. So let's press 2, 3, 1.
This was exactly the way.
And
Right
just like
now,
that is a module solved.
Things were meant to happen.
Let's take a look at one final example. Now, what happens if you accidentally press something out of order? Let's say, oh, I don't know, 1, and then 3.
But there is no answer.
If you happen to press it wrong, it generates a... No, this is the exact same. It generates the exact same module, but gives you a strike, and it lets you know when the first button press is wrong. So taking a look here, let's do the same thing we did before with our red, green, and blue. Create 3 three-digit numbers. So with red, we have a 4, 2, and an 8. With green, we have a 5, a 1, and a 9. And for blue, we have a 9, a 2, and a 6. Adding all those up, 428 plus 519 plus 926 is a 1,873. Taking the 3 least significant digits is 873. So, like it said before, press the buttons in order from smallest to biggest even numbers, and then smallest to biggest odd numbers. So we only have 1 even digit, so that's going to be obviously our first one to press. And then smallest to biggest odd numbers, that will be a 3 is smaller than 7, and then 7 is the last one to be pressed. That's a given. So we will press 1, 3, and 2.
This was exactly the way. Right
And
now,
just like that is a module solved.
things were meant to happen.
As always, thank you guys for watching. Stay crazy, stay cool, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.